What's going on, boys and girls? What's up, world? Austin John Plays here, and today I'm going to be going over some pretty great tips that you could use for making custom stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So yesterday, April 17th, the update 3.0 came out for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which we got access to the stage builder. In addition to downloading a whole bunch of things, if you want to get creative, I've seen a bunch of things on the shop that don't look great. And by don't look great, I mean it looks like a 3-year-old drew them. Because if I go to draw a straight line and then I put it together to make a platform, guess what? This looks like a 3-year-old drew it. By the way, I'm obviously using a top-down camera right now because I'm doing handheld mode instead of docked mode. You are most likely going to be doing this in handheld mode. The first thing I recommend is there's a brand new tool for version 8.0 for the Nintendo Switch called Zoom. If you go into system settings and we go down here into system, you're going to see down here Zoom. Turn Zoom on. You access Zoom by hitting the home button 2 times. You'll lock it once and then hit it again to cancel. That's going to be super important for this. That's your first tip. So this shape right here, I'm actually going for Peach's Castle. And this is my beginning attempt at it. I'm still a work in progress, but there's a couple things that I learned and I want to share them with you. When making a stage, I definitely recommend having some inspiration. Getting an idea on what you want to work on before you actually start working on it. Getting this inspiration is going to help you kind of form your ideas a little bit more and make it a little bit easier for you. You definitely need to be familiar with the tools. And by familiar with the tools, first thing, you need to learn all of your textures. Not only are they colors, but they're also textures. Unfortunately, we don't have things like stone and bricks. Instead, you have to settle for like marble and wood and things like that. Everything that you create has a outlining texture. So for example, this marble has sort of this darker color on the outside and steel has a darker color on the outside. This marble shape, because it's not a rectangle, does not have that weird shape. Also, you definitely want to be familiar with your layers. So there's multiple layers that you can have active at any time. So this right here, you see the green icon, this is my background layer. Meanwhile, if I'm currently active in my foreground layer, I can edit things on the foreground layer. Now, the reason I said zoom is super important is drawing this perfect rhombus trapezoid, I think it's a trapezoid, is very difficult. And especially getting those spikes and everything to be the same size is also very difficult. Now right here is the grid. Tron reference. Right here is the grid where you can come in and you can draw whatever shapes that you'd like. Now, what I found to be helpful is to draw whatever shape that you are going to be going for. Next, we choose freehand, and let's choose a different color. Now let's zoom in, max zoom. You control the zoom with X and Y. You want to zoom all the way in, hit home once to lock it. From here, we're going to click that corner, come down here, that corner, come back up, complete it. Unzoom out. With the edit tool, we're going to be able to move that away, and we can go ahead and erase those 2 things, and boom, we have a perfect rhombus. Now, granted, we can make it whatever texture that we want. So say, for example, we want it to be wood. We go into the fill option and boom, now it's wood. And now that we have this shape in place, we can actually go into edit and say, for example, we want it to be even thinner than that. We can do that. We can make it wider, etc. Of course, the outside border will automatically fix itself. Do keep in mind that when you make it thinner or wider, this is going to change the angle at which it's going to be expanded upon. So you may not be able to get your desired result. Granted, if you're doing a perfect 45-degree angle, then the only way to keep that angle is to move it the same amount up and over. There we go. Perfect 45-degree angle on the sides. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about getting perfect angles because most likely you're going to be hopping and jumping over these angles in the first place. So let's go ahead and erase that. Drawing straight lines is not very easy, and that's where the grid comes in place. Also, you're going to be able to find that perfect center, as you can tell by this purple axis right here in the middle. But if we get rid of that, then we have the ability to move things freehand. So say, for example, we want it over there, and don't worry, you can always undo. Now this tree right here that I made for the background, I'm actually not too happy with the way that it turned out. So let's go ahead and make it even better. Now keep in mind these are the trees from Peach's Castle, the N64 version of Smash Brothers, and it kind of looks like a star shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we are going to draw freehand in the grass texture. Now I'm going to make this much larger than I need to. Let's go ahead and zoom in. So once I'm zoomed in, let's make this much larger than we want to. So we're going to go for a not exactly 45-degree angle. This point should be higher. Bring it back down. 2, 3 up, 2 over. And let's bring it down where we were, right about there. That's going to go out the same amount. And we're going to kind of emulate what we did at the top. Now, if we look in the grand scheme of things, that is a giant treetop. And I did that for a reason. That way I can go in here to the editor and make it much smaller, and we get these very, very fine angles and textures, and we can actually make it a lot more sophisticated that we want. And let's see what happens if I just take this and I drag this on top of the one we currently have. Oh, they're different widths. Boom. Now that is a fairly complex looking plant right there. I mean, we kind of have almost the same angles going on, but yes, now it does in fact look more like a tree, which is nice. This base right here, though, is absolutely horrible, and I hate it. Let's get rid of that. Now, I'm going to use this bottom piece that I just drew right here as sort of like a guide for what I'm going to be making. And what I mean by guide, I mean that if I start up here, right here in the middle, the closer I go to the middle, the thinner it's going to be overall once I shrink it. And the further I go to the outside, the fatter it's going to be overall. So if I go to the completely outside, and I make this smaller, I know it's not even, I'm about to delete it anyways, it's still a perfect triangle. But if I want a shape that's a little bit more of an acute angle, we go high, and then I'm going to go, let's do about 4. And now this bottom area is kind of important because this bottom area is going to signify exactly where it's going to be when it shrinks. Would you look at that? I just learned something new. So say, for example, you draw the wrong dot, you click back, and it goes back a dot. Wow, learning things with you guys. And now, look at that. Look how nice and thin that tree trunk is. I love it. And wow, look at that. Look at that tree trunk. That's a nice tree trunk right there. Let's see what that tree trunk looks like. It's weird that it's thick. Other than it being a little thick, kinda works. And using that same idea, you can make yourselves roofs and bases, and I'm gonna be working on Peach's Castle here a little bit more, and then I'm finally gonna be posting it. I'm also thinking about doing a stage review. I think that'd be pretty cool, and I wanna know what you guys think about that. So guys, if this tutorial on shapes for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Stage Builder was helpful, be sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.